When you think of Irish food, there's only one thing that comes to mind. Don't get me wrong, I love corned beef and cabbage as much as the next person, but let's be honest, no one's craving that outside of St. Patrick's Day. Maybe, just maybe, it's time to try something a little different. And that's what we're gonna do today, so show me some love, hit that like button, and we're gonna make something that I bet you've probably never even heard of, let alone had before. So don't go anywhere, laddie.
We are making a sausage stew called Dublin Coddle. So we're gonna need smoked sausage, about half a package of bacon, chicken stock, a couple bay leaves, 2 garlic cloves, an onion, 4 carrots, a little bit of flour, about a tablespoon, and of course 4 potatoes. Go ahead and peel your potatoes, carrots, onions, and garlic. The garlic we're gonna mince up nice and fine. The onions we're gonna cut into 1/2-inch wedges, and then the carrots and potatoes dice up into 1-inch chunks. This is a hearty stew, so you wanna see what you're eating, and it's gonna cook for a couple hours, and that way you still get some texture and everything doesn't break down. Same with the sausage and bacon. Go ahead and cut them into at least 1-inch chunks. The bacon I like to cut a little bit bigger because it's gonna cook down a little bit. Grab yourself an oven-proof pot, put it over medium heat, and we're gonna add our bacon to that. No need to add any oil, you can just add it right to the dry pan. This is gonna render out plenty of fat. Grab yourself a wooden spoon, give it a good stir, and then let this go for about 5 to 7 minutes until your bacon is super crispy. Then we're gonna take all that out, set it aside for now, and don't throw away any of that fat. We're gonna use that, leave it all in there. Now we're gonna add our sausage, let that get some color. We're not trying to cook this all the way through. This only needs to go for about 2 to 3 minutes or so until you start to see some browning. And the hardest part, I'm telling you right now, is gonna be not eating all that bacon that's right next to you. So once your sausage is nice and brown, take that out and then drain out all the fat except for about a tablespoon. Then we're gonna add our flour to the pot, give it a good stir. We're making a roux, so then throw in your chicken stock. That flour is gonna help thicken it up a little bit. And then every recipe I found calls for alternating half of the potatoes, half the onions, half the carrots, 1 bay leaf, half the garlic, half the meat. So I started doing that, and then I realized I really don't think there's any point to this, so you should just be able to dump everything in. It's all just gonna simmer in the pot anyways. So just throw everything in at once, stir it all up, make sure you get a nice tight-fitting oven-proof lid.
Then we're putting everything right into a 300-degree oven for at least 2 hours. But the longer the better. You can go up to 5 hours. If you're in a rush and you don't want to wait 2 to 4 hours, you could also throw everything in an instant pot, set it to high pressure for 40 to 45 minutes, cut your time in half. All right, so the main dish is working. We've got time for a quick one-pot side dish. The most popular Irish side dish, I think, is Colcannon, which is basically Irish mashed potatoes mixed with cabbage or greens. I'm gonna use kale. First thing I'm gonna do is get these potatoes peeled and boiling.
I feel like you guys got this part, but just in case, chop your potatoes up into even pieces, add them into cold water first, then bring it up to a boil and let it cook until nice and tender while we move on to the kale. The stem is gonna be a little too stringy and tough to cook, so using your hands, just pull apart the leaves from the stem. And I used almost an entire bunch of kale, so add that to the pile, stem goes in the garbage. And then we're gonna give this all a nice fine chop. It's gonna cook down a little bit, but you don't want big chunks of this in your potatoes. Speaking of, go ahead and drain your tender boiled potatoes and add the pot back to the stove with about a tablespoon of butter, and we're gonna saute our kale. Don't forget to add a little bit of salt. Saute your kale for about 2 to 4 minutes until it's nice and tender and bright green like this. Then we're gonna add in a cup of cream. You could use half and half or milk, and then add your potatoes to the pot if you have a potato masher. I surprisingly don't have one, so I'm gonna use my potato ricer and rice it right into the pot. Add about 2 tablespoons of butter. Mix it all together. You can add a little bit more stock if you want them a little looser, or a little bit more milk. Give it a final season and eat. After 2 hours, remove your Dublin Coddle from the oven and plate it up in a nice big bowl right next to your Colcannon, and enjoy.
Wow. Okay, hear me out. Corned beef and cabbage is good. Sausage and bacon is gonna be better 100% of the time. Please switch it up, try some different Irish food. This is going in my regular rotation. This is fantastic. Thank you so much for joining me. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. I'm Jim with Doesn't Pay Full Price. I'll catch you next time.